But first, we are kicking off Black Maternal Health Week today. And in honor of it, we're speaking about the health crisis affecting Black mothers in America. Here to give us some insight is Dr. Wylin Wilson, author and associate professor of theological ethics at Duke Divinity School. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, this is a very important topic. You've written a book. Tell us the urgency in writing a book.
Yes. So the urgency is that Black women in America, the lives of Black women and other women of color actually testify to the state of the healthcare system here in our country. And the lives don't just testify to it, but they interpret and critique it. So in my book, I share stories that invite us into the lives and experiences of these women who are experiencing the healthcare system, as I name it, from the underside, right? From places of feeling unseen, unheard, and uncared for in many aspects.
And it's so important to get those stories out. That's the only way that we can make change.
Yes.
Now, the name of your book is Womanist Bioethics. For anyone who's unfamiliar with those terms, share with us what that means.
Yes. So womanism is really important. It is not just a theoretical framework, but it actually is a social change framework, right? It is a response to voices and experiences and bodies being left out of the conversation within, theology, for instance, and also within healthcare and other aspects. But bioethics, that may be something people are a little bit more familiar with because it is the study of the ethical challenges and dilemmas that arise in science, health care, and technology.
Wow.
So people might be more familiar with, issues of beginning of life, end of life,
right.
How do we define death? When does a fetus really become a human being? So those are things that folks might be more familiar with.
Yeah, but you're taking a deeper dive into the
Yes.
life of the individual, primarily a woman of color. Now, how does your background as a theologian shape your perspective on this topic?
Yes, it shapes it because one of the things that is really important, and particularly when you're dealing with women of color, faith, spirituality is really central in the lives of women. And so I did not want to leave that out. If we're talking about the health of women, if we're talking about the care of women, it's really hard to leave out that component that is holistic, right?
Yeah.
Spirituality,
Absolutely.
faith, the faith life.
Yeah.
So did not want to leave that out at all.
We're talking about the whole woman and
Yes.
everything that makes her up. How
Yeah.
can a shift to centering Black women's voices in discussing healthcare, how can that change the healthcare system at large?
Yeah, so what's really important about my work is I really try to demonstrate that, when you're looking at, for us to really conceive of, what does justice look like in human relations, right? So when you're looking at what does that really look like, it really requires that we pay attention to vulnerable populations. And vulnerability doesn't mean that the person is deficient or weak.
Sure.
Vulnerability is something that we create culturally, right? Through power dynamics, through how we structure institutions where some are disadvantaged and others are advantaged. So really looking at, we're starting with the experience of Black women and women of color. And when you start there, though, you really see that their experience does intersect with all women's experience. So when we are addressing those challenges, right, for this population, we are really going to hit these challenges for women broadly. And that's what's so important, right? Because this book is not just for Black women. It is literally for all of us, because we all have a hand in one another's health.
That's right, for all women. This has been a wonderful discussion. Thank you so very much for being here. This
Thank
has been
you.
great.
Thank you.
For a deep dive on all that we talked about here today, you can grab Dr. Wilson's book, Womanist Bioethics, on Amazon.